Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today, we're diving into the wild world of government efficiency, or, as I like to call it, Operation Save the Taxpayers from Themselves. Our star player? The Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short. Yes, it's named after a meme coin, and yes, it's led by none other than Elon Musk, the guy who brought us Tesla, SpaceX, and now a federal budget haircut. Grab your popcorn, because this is going to be a wild ride. So, what's DOGE all about? Launched on January 20th, 2025, by President Trump, DOGE's mission is simple: sniff out waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government like a bloodhound on a mission. And let me tell you, they've been moving faster than a SpaceX rocket. In just over a month, they've claimed billions in savings, though. Spoiler alert, some folks say those numbers are about as reliable as my Wi-Fi during a storm. Let's break it down. First off, what does DOGE do? Think of it as the government's new janitor, except instead of mopping floors, they're sweeping away questionable contracts and slashing red tape. Trump gave them the green light to audit every nook and cranny of the federal budget. And Elon's been leading the charge with a team of efficiency ninjas. Their motto? Cut the fat, save the cash. And boy, have they been swinging that budget axe, Now, DOGE isn't a full-on cabinet department. It's more like a temporary SWAT team, set to wrap up by July 4th, 2026. But don't let that fool you. They've already sunk their teeth into everything from diversity programs to foreign aid. So, let's talk specifics. Since day one, DOGE has been canceling contracts left, right, and center. One of their favorite targets? Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or DE&I initiatives. On January 31st, they axed 104 DE&I-related contracts across 30 agencies, claiming a cool $1 billion in savings. DOGE also torched $226 million in DEI grants across the board, arguing these programs were more about optics than outcomes. Agree or not, that's money back in the system. Then there's the Department of Education. DOGE terminated 32 DEI training grants worth $116 million. Apparently, they decided teachers don't need fancy workshops to learn how to teach inclusively. And get this, they also killed a $1.5 million contract for someone to observe mailing and clerical operations at a mail center. I mean, I've watched paint dry for free. What's the government doing paying for that? DOGE also slashed a $15 million DEI training grant that was more about buzzwords than classrooms. Or how about $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia's workplaces? That's not America's bill to foot. DOGE is saying if it doesn't serve the taxpayer, it's gone. But wait, it gets better or worse, depending on your perspective. DOGE unearthed a $20 million USAID program to distribute condoms across Africa. Yep, $20 million for rubber raincoats. DOGE was like, sorry folks, we're not in the safe sex philanthropy business. Snip, snip, gone. They canceled contracts worth hundreds of millions tied to projects like irrigation canals in Afghanistan. Projects that ended up supporting poppy cultivation for heroin. That's not aid, that's absurdity. By pulling the plug, DOGE is sending a message. No more blank checks for waste. We're talking stuff like $45 million in USAID scholarships for Burmese students. Kids. No more studying abroad on Uncle Sam's dime. Then there's the $7.8 million the National Institutes of Health spent on a study to see if cats prefer wet or dry food. Spoiler, my cat told me both for free, but apparently NIH needed a PhD and a budget for that. Now, critics say this is just political theater, chopping programs they don't like and calling it waste. But DOGE's like, nah fam, we're saving you billions. They've claimed $8.6 billion from over 1,000 canceled contracts so far. Though, full disclosure, some experts say the real savings might be closer to $2 billion. Still, that's a lot of nickels. Next up, fraud. The federal government loses an estimated $230 to $521 billion a year to fraud, according to a 2024 Government Accountability Office report. DOGE isn't letting that slide. Take the IRS, for example. DOGE uncovered $1.9 billion in scams tied to improper payments and shut them down fast. Then there's FEMA. 4 officials got the boot on February 11th after DOGE exposed millions misspent on high-end hotels for migrants. That money was meant for American disaster relief. That's not just waste, that's a betrayal of trust. DOGE is digging into sensitive data systems, using tech to spot these leaks, and then plugging them with surgical precision. Okay, now let's get to the juicy stuff. The Social Security Administration. DOGE's been poking around the SSA, and they've stumbled onto something straight out of a comedy sketch. Apparently, there are tens of millions of people, over 100, still listed in the SSA database. Elon's like, maybe Twilight is real, and there are a lot of vampires collecting Social Security. Here's the deal. Musk and the White House have hinted at massive fraud like tens of millions getting shady payments. But hold up. The SSA Inspector General says improper payments are less than 1% of total payouts. And while there are cases of payments to deceased folks, it's nowhere near the scale they're suggesting. Plus, the SSA auto-cuts off payments at 115, so unless we've got a secret army of super centenarians, this might be more hype than heist. Still, DOGE's got read-only access to SSA systems, and they're digging deeper. Could there be fraud? Sure, but right now it's looking like they've found a spooky headline more than a smoking gun. Stay tuned. Maybe they'll unearth a 120-year-old TikTok star cashing checks. So, what's the verdict on DOGE? In just over a month, they've slashed contracts, gutted DE&I programs, canceled condom giveaways, and raised eyebrows at the SSA. They're claiming billions in savings, $55 billion if you believe their big picture estimates. That's billion with a B. That's like finding $1 billion a day at one point early on. Insane, right? Although the hard numbers are more like $2 to $8 billion. Not too shabby for a team that's basically Elon Musk and a bunch of caffeinated staffers armed with spreadsheets. But here's the kicker. Some say DOGE's just a buzzsaw cutting anything that moves, while others cheer them on as the heroes we need to tame the federal beast. Me? I'm just here wondering if they'll cancel my dream contract to taste test government cheese. Fingers crossed. Now, not everyone's cheering. Some lawmakers argue these cuts hurt essential services, or that DOGE is overstepping its authority. Lawsuits are flying. Unions and advocacy groups say it's illegal to access Treasury data or FEMA records without clearance. And skeptics point out that $55 billion is just a drop in the $7 trillion bucket, which is nowhere near the $2 trillion Musk promised. Fair point. But DOGE is only a month in, and they've got 18 months total. This is a sprint, not a marathon. Elon Musk and his DOGE team have also floated the idea of a DOGE dividend to 79 million American taxpayer households. This would represent 20% of the $2 trillion they anticipate saving in waste, fraud, and abuse by excessive government spending. The idea is to return money to taxpayers. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as we will discuss this in more detail in our next video. So, what's the takeaway? DOGE is shaking up a system that's been coasting on autopilot. They're stopping waste with canceled contracts worth billions, fighting fraud with hard-hitting audits, and rethinking spending like DEI that doesn't deliver. Is it perfect? No. Is it a start? You bet. Imagine what they could do with more time and tech, as AI's already on the table to sniff out tax evasion and inefficiencies. That's all for today, folks. What do you think? Genius move or government chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you're Team DOGE, and subscribe for more wild dives into the world of politics and taxpayer dollars. See you next time.